I'm Harmony Williams, and this is Life-Changing Trips. Sometimes it's hard to see the freedom and the beauty that lives behind the weight of everything we carry. But I believe that life is so amazing, and I can't waste another moment. I'm so excited to be here with you for another transformational conversation about experiences and the latest research on plant medicine, meditation, breath work, and other unconventional modalities, and how they are being used for mental health and expansion. I hope by listening that you will find ways to integrate your peak experiences and epiphanies to open up new levels of possibilities, ingenuity, and fulfillment in business, and deeper, authentic connection and passion in your relationships, and a feeling of purpose, of living fully alive. Hi, today we are talking with Amy Koford about hypnotherapy. It's similar in plant medicine as to getting through your conscious mind into your subconscious. Sometimes we just have these deeper things that we can't access or we can't change consciously. And so this was really, really fun. We talk about depression. We talk about how she uses it for some clients for confidence, stress, trauma, anxiety. We talk about self-love versus arrogance and how when you love yourself, everything in life is better. We talk about parenting, and if we want our kids to love themselves, then we need to be that example to love ourselves. As I've been on this self-love journey for several years, it seemed like this elusive thing that could never really be attained, or maybe just some self-care that only this new age idea for people who have the luxury to think about self-love. And I don't think it's this unattainable goal, because as I did the work, I worked with life coaches, read the books, processed through emotions, and after a few years and some plant medicine, which on those journeys you do get a taste of what it feels like to have unconditional love for yourself and for others. And in my first journey, I saw how beautiful my children's souls were, how beautiful my husband's soul is, how beautiful my soul is. And I saw all the mistakes that I had made, or what I was calling mistakes. As I saw them from a higher consciousness, it was different than how I'd ever seen those mistakes before. And I loved myself like I didn't know was possible. Like, it's okay. Yeah, this was all part of this human experience. I knew you were going to make mistakes. You knew you were going to make mistakes. It's not as dire as we think it is when we're here in the middle of it. And I was able to see how all of that, even my worst mistakes, led to the person that I am now, and that growth and that evolution and that expansion and evolvement. I had this pure love for myself. After the experience, like I've said before, it's like a near-death experience, and it's super profound and powerful in your life, and it changed me, and I was glowing from that experience for months and even a full year, I would say. And it does start to fade a little bit. Even a near-death experience, someone comes back and they're evangelical about how amazing life is and what a gift it is and what their purpose is, and they're passionate and they just want to tell the whole world. And it's similar to that. And 5-10 years down the road, when you meet someone who has had a near-death experience, they still tell you that story and how it changed their life, but they may not quite be as excited and it's not as close, right? So it's very similar to that. And as that started to fade, I still was doing the work. I was integrating. I had a coach. I was working on myself every single day and my relationships. And one night, as I was laying in bed with my husband talking, and I was just, I like to talk, and I was just talking about whatever came to my mind and whatever happened on my hike during that day. And I looked over at him, just nicely nodding and smiling and listening. And I said, "Oh my gosh, you've probably been waiting to have sex this 30 minutes I've been talking." And he laughed and he was like, "No, I'm just so happy to be here in your energy and be around you, the way he said what he said, how genuine he was. And of course he was like, sure, yes, I'd like to have sex too, but it's okay. I want to hear you. I want to listen to you. And I felt it in my heart and I just started crying. I was so happy and it was so beautiful. I was so grateful that he loved me that much. And then I realized that the only reason I could feel that from him was because it finally was sinking in, like I loved myself that much too. And I loved him unconditionally that much, even with all his faults, even with the quirky things he does or whatever. But I wouldn't have been able to feel that from him if I couldn't feel it myself. And it was just this huge moment. We just laid there after I, told him how much I loved him, and I'm crying and he's holding me, and just a really tender moment, but kind of that moment of realization of all of this work I'd been doing on self-love and taking care of me and doing things that light me up and fill me up and care for me were actually working. And I do believe that self-love is a choice and that there are practical steps that you can take to get there. It doesn't have to be this magical, mystical thing. You don't need plant medicine. You can set aside time for yourself each week to develop self-love. And I believe, I heard this quote and I really love it, that self-love unleashes your full potential. And I think that it does have this aspect of mastery over so many other things, because self-love has that power to bring all the aspects of our life into alignment, and it spreads out. It affects our relationships, it affects our work, it affects our confidence, it affects everything in our life. So it's really this foundational thing. And I want to offer you the chance to come free to my self-love challenge. And it is a gift you can give yourself if you're not quite sure where to start, or you think you might start with, maybe a little freebie or a checklist and then just, a week or two later get busy and forget about it and not make time for it. So if you would like more information on this self-love challenge, friend me on Instagram and then send me an Instagram message, a DM, and tell me you want more information about the self-love challenge, or you can just text one word, love. You're busy, that works, send love, and I will get you all the information you need about it. Just one little tip or secret about self-love. It's actually very similar to a relationship with another. That can fade. That can, people are going in their relationship and then they're like, I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it anymore, or he wasn't available to me anymore, whatever that is. But with others and with yourself, the secret to success is keep committing to being present and being self-loving even when things aren't going well. So just a little tip there for you. When you hit a bump or a roadblock in that relationship with yourself, don't give up on it, because you can't find another you to have a relationship with. So the last few things about Amy's interview that were super fun, and I hope you stay on for. I described just a little bit at the end of my experience with plant medicine, and Amy tells us about her quitting smoking guarantee that she has. And you will get to hear what percentage of people quit smoking with one session from her. She also tells us about her recent trip to Africa and how she gets to use her hypnotherapy on teachers and students at the school she visits in Africa, and about the musical instruments that they bought for them that they had never seen before. So really, this is a really fun episode I am excited to share with you. I hope you enjoy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell me more about what hypnotherapy is, and maybe just like a little, I don't know, what you do for people, how it works.
I actually just finished a session like 10 minutes ago, and it's always different. So with this particular client, I love what I do because I never know what's going to happen. So with this particular client, she has had some past trauma, and she said, I want to know what happened. She doesn't remember it, which, that's not very unusual. That's fairly common. And sure enough, as I suspected, we get in there and her mind is not willing to share much. It said it would overwhelm her. And so I was like, okay, well, then we got to take baby steps with this. Anyway, it's fascinating work. So different sessions are different. Okay. So with this particular session, I'm speaking directly to their unconscious. I'm not even talking to that person. It's just like me and that unconscious are communicating with each other and working on things. With some sessions, I'm kind of more just talking to them. It's and it just depends, like sometimes I'm trying to help them love themselves. So I'll do a whole session about that where we're doing different perspectives and letting go of the limiting beliefs. Some of them are to stop them from habits, porn or smoking or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about letting go of fear. Fear is something that holds people back and causes them a lot of suffering. So sometimes I'm working on fear. I have one particular session that I don't even put them in hypnosis. We're just walking around my office. It's really hard to explain. But what we're doing, it's like, they're still going into a type of trance, but it's like it's a fascinating session because we're standing most of the time, right? Where I'm just having them stand with their eyes closed. And as we go back, we're going back in time. So like, how do I explain it? So like, I have them stand at a certain point in my office and I say, here you are at your current age and time. I want you to describe to me what the energy is like here. How tired are you? How confident? How open is your heart? Blah, blah, blah. And a lot of times it's all negative, right? Oh, my heart is not open at all. I am not connected. I feel tired. I'm not healthy. You know what I mean? Like all this stuff comes up and I'm like, yep, that's right. Now behind you is your past, all the things that in your life have contaminated your nervous system. And so we're going to explore your number one issue. So before that, we've established what their number one issue is. So then we're going back, stepping back. Now, the fascinating thing about that is no matter what someone's religious beliefs, no matter what their background, it doesn't matter. There's a couple of super cool things that come up in that. So I'll say, okay, step back to birth. Just tell me the first thing that pops into your head. How did you feel when you were born? And no matter who they are, no matter what, they can. Once in a while I'll have some, I don't remember. I'll say, okay, just clear your mind. First thing that pops into your head. And boom, I was scared or I was happy or whatever. Then we'll go back to the womb. Just clear your mind. Tell me the first thing that pops into your mind. How did you feel when you were in the womb? And they can tell me. I felt scared or I was insecure or whatever. But then the cool thing is we go back to before they were conceived and I'll be like, okay. And I move them over in my office and say, okay, here you are before you even came to earth, before anything. What's it like here? And they know. They just know. It's the weirdest, coolest thing. It doesn't matter what their background is. It doesn't matter their religion. None of that matters. They're just like, it's peaceful. Anyway, it's cool.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a number of different modalities and techniques that I use depending on what the client's struggling with and what they need to do and what they're wanting to accomplish. So.
Yeah, it sounds like you are very intuitive in that.
Somewhat. I would love to be better, but I feel like it, with practice, some people are just naturally, but with that one around the office, yeah, I can feel what they're feeling and I can tell what's going on. But anyway, so there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fascinating.
On some of them, do you have like a little kind of induction process to help them get into the hypnosis?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. And
so with their first session, I always do a couple of things. One is just a fun thing to say, here's what can happen, and I get their arm to lift up all by itself. And it always kind of, what? I love doing that one just out in public too.
Mm-hmm. When you're
When I was in
speaking.
Africa I was in Africa a few weeks ago.
Oh
And
yeah.
I did it to the salesman of our piano, the piano salesman. He's like, I said, do you want me to hypnotize you right now? He's like, I don't know. I'm nervous. Isn't that witchcraft? I think that in Africa, they believe it's witchcraft because I got that a few times.
Mm-hmm.
So I did it. And he's like, what? Mm-hmm. And so then I did another one on him and I got him laughing. And he's like, man, that's just crazy. And then I met a famous person in Africa, my friend Caroline that lives there. She's like, that man is really famous. So I got talking to him and he's like, are you telling me that you can hypnotize me right now? I'm like, yeah. Anyway, so we had some fun with that at the airport. But yeah, I always do. There's a number of inductions that I use. Mm-hmm. And they're fun. Like, I just use different inductions, different times. I kind of see how the client does. Some people can go deeper, faster, and easier than others. Mm-hmm. And so I just try to use the induction that I think will work best with different clients. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's always an induction.
I love the laughter part of that. Like, so when you got him laughing, you said those words. Was it he just laughing at the process, like his arm was lifting and he wasn't purposely doing it, or was the actual process you were doing to get him to laugh?
Yeah. Okay. So what happened is first I did the arm levitation. So I'll pull this away. So their arm actually goes up by itself without them making it. Now I'm making my arm do this, right? But I do a fun one where I get their arm to just lift up and it freaks. They're like, it's so much fun. So what I did is I did that with him. And then we talked about pianos for a minute. And then before I left the piano store, he said something like, so what do you do this? I said, well, I always do it to benefit people. I said, okay, let's have some fun. I said, here we go. Looking in my eyes, sleep. And I put his head on my shoulder and I'm like, man, you are laughing like you're drunk. Nothing's even funny. But now as you think about that, it's impossible for you not to laugh. And now you start laughing harder and harder. So I got him to laugh. Someone got it on video that was with me. And he just started busting up laughing. Then I pulled him out of it. He was like, what? So I love that one where I get him laughing.
Yeah, I want you to do that for me every day because I
know, right?
More laughter. I think we all do.
I know.
It just feels so good, that release of laughter. So
yeah, good. So I love to do that. So there's one session where that's part of it. And I don't ever tell them that that's coming. It's more fun to surprise them with that.
Yeah.
Where I just get them laughing. And some people are just like, and others are like, some people are laughing so hard. It's just like, it's fun.
Oh, that's so neat.
The majority of my clients are for depression and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
I have people come to me for everything. I can do a session where they stop smoking and one session with a lifetime guarantee.
Wow.
So
how many people have you done the stop smoking thing with? Because that's incredible.
A number of people. I mean, I wish I could do more. I need to market that. I don't market that. Yeah. Whenever I get a smoking client, that's just someone that thinks, oh, it's a hypnotist, maybe she can help. If I were to specifically market for that, I would probably get a lot more, but I've had a number of them. Yeah. I don't know how many, too many to count, but still. And then, but the majority come to me for like confidence or, depression and anxiety. And like this week, I have someone coming to me for nail biting. And, just
people are like,
I mean, I have several sessions this week. One of my clients, he started with me a few weeks ago, and his first session was like all this stuff came out that he didn't even know was there. And he was like, it felt so good for him to get some of that out that he just was like, wow, I didn't even know it was in there.
Right. Sometimes we don't understand why we're feeling terrible. It's like, there's nothing, I don't really know exactly what's wrong. I just have this, anxiety, or I just feel crappy, or there's got to be something more than this or something better. And you just want to feel better, but you don't exactly know what's wrong.
Yeah, I get that sometimes. And it's fun to discover, oh, here's what's going on. Oh, wow. And I got to tell you that sometimes people come to me for pain, like physical pain.
Yeah.
And that one's an interesting one, because what I found in those is that some people hold on to pain without even realizing it. So a couple of years ago, I had a literal rocket scientist. That was his profession. And he came to me for pain, and he was older, like late 60s. And in one of the sessions, I thought, okay, we've got it. We're making some progress, but there's something there that I need to discover. So in this session, I said to him, I got him into hypnosis, and I was talking to his unconscious. I said, what is the purpose of the pain? And he said, I need the attention. And after I brought him out of it, he was like, what? What? Where did that come from? He's like, that makes sense. He said, it makes sense, but I had no idea. And then I had another one who was a therapist. This guy is a professional therapist. Okay, that's his profession. And he comes to me, and I do all these like questions to find out, what areas do I need to work on? So I'm like, you're actually not doing very well. He said, you don't love yourself. You're not very confident. I'm like, we need to work on some of this too, not just the pain, because I bet that it's connected. And he's like, well, yeah, you might be right. I said, if we can get you feeling overall better about your confidence, your self-esteem, and just happier, more peaceful, less stressed, it's going to help the pain. Well, so in one of the sessions with him, I again get him into hypnosis, ask his subconscious, what is the purpose of the pain? And he said, I blame myself for my cousin's suicide when I was 16.
Wow.
So again, afterwards, he was just in shock. He said, I had no idea.
He never consciously realized that he was doing that. Oh my gosh.
No idea. So anyway. It helps with a number of things, but what I specialize in is, happiness and peace. That has a lot to it, right? Because everyone's different. So some people, it's resolving past traumas. For some, it's helping them love themselves. I see a lot of people that just really hate themselves. They're saying the most critical, brutal things to themselves all the time. And that's affecting their happiness and peace. I have some that fear is their big thing. For some of them, it's all of the above, right? It just totally depends on the person.
Yeah. So I'm curious on the smoking ones. What have they said after? Like they didn't crave it anymore. It didn't draw.
Yeah, it's
anymore.
just like I just tell them, after this, it'll be as if you never smoked. And so I had a cute teenage girl that came to me a few months ago, and she vaped. And she said, I just got to get off it. And so I think she was 17 or 18. Anyway, she texted me like a month later and said, it's like I just never even did it.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, cute girl. And, it's not 100% success, but I do include the lifetime guarantee. But it's high. It's like 90 to 95% success. And so for those few, I'll just bring them back and do more sessions until it has worked.
That's incredible. That's so awesome. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah. One of the things when I first started learning about plant medicine is Johns Hopkins has been doing trials with psilocybin.
Oh,
So
cool.
the active ingredient in magic mushrooms, and their rate for people quitting smoking was so high. They're like, we don't have anything else out there that helps people quit smoking. And, then they're testing them a year later and they're still, like people who've been lifetime smokers, they're not smoking. And it seems like it must have some kind of link in that subconscious area. We're getting into that subconscious part that makes it so tricky to quit smoking, the underlying issues that we don't even realize probably. Mm-hmm. So that's really cool. I am open if any other story pops into your mind. I would love to hear them. This is so fun, so neat. But I want to ask you a little bit about your trips that you've taken to Africa. Like,
okay,
what have you, how has that changed you, or like some of the experiences there I don't know, there's something there that pops up.
Yeah. So the first time I went was in 2019, August 2019. And it was a lot of fun, but I was a little overwhelmed. It can feel like going to a different planet the first day or two, because it's just so different. Okay. Everything about it. There's a lot of similarities, of course, people are people, they drive cars, they have restaurants, and, but it's just like the landscape looks so different, and you're the only white person. And so you get stared at, and, there's just a lot that's different. So the first time I loved it, but it was like, and I helped with my friend's school. She runs a school and an orphanage over there, and that was cool. And she actually opened it up to the students, the older students, the teenagers. She said, Amy is a type of therapist that can help you. So if you want her to help you. So I had a whole day of people. It was one person after another. I had teachers coming to me. So that was fun.
That is neat.
Yeah. So that was awesome. And then this time, so I just got back like 2 weeks ago. So this time, and I had my son with me, he's 19. And we went into Nairobi to pick out music instruments to buy and donate to the school.
Cool.
And so that was actually super fun, because a lot of those kids have never seen a piano. They have on
You said
on
a piano
TV.
salesman. You bought a piano for the...
Yes. Pianos there are very expensive. Here in Utah, the cheapest one I could find was a 70-year-old piano for $2,000.
Wow.
And the same piano here, someone would just give it away. Right. It would be free.
Right. Yeah.
You wouldn't even have to pay for it at all, but they're
probably not even tuned.
So, oh yeah. Seriously, like you could get that one for free on KSL.
Wow.
But they are so rare, and only the rich have them. Mm. And so, so I just,
do they have any keyboards?
Oh yeah, it works.
Or do they have keyboards like Casio?
Yeah, so we got one of those, but we took it with us. We got it at Costco here in Utah and just hauled it around with us. We spent a week in Paris on our way there and just had to haul it everywhere. Like if we move, to the airport and to the different hotels, like, oh, well, we had to carry this big keyboard. So yeah, we took one with us so that they could have an electric one, but I just really wanted them to have an acoustic piano because it's such a different experience to play an acoustic piano.
Oh, my son
it's almost like your soul is like connecting with that. I don't feel that on an electric keyboard. I just don't. But when I sit down to play something on an acoustic piano, it's like more of just this connection. Mm. Like when I'm stressed, I can sit down and play a song and just pound it out. And or if I'm in a happy mood, I can play a happy song. And it just, to me, playing an acoustic piano is more of an experience. So we got him one of those. They've never seen one in person other than on the TV. And a lot of those people in Western Kenya will never see a piano in their lives. So we got a drum set, brand new drum set, and some guitars and some percussion instruments, like tambourines. And we got, anyway, so they ended up.
Guitars less expensive there?
They were reasonable, actually. The guitars were only like $80 each or something. So they were totally doable.
Yeah. Nice.
So anyway, so it was a great experience. We went on safari for a few days, and it was cheap. It was only $350 each for 3 days. That included the lodging and the food.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw a ton of animals, and I love going on safari. It's my favorite. So anyway, but yeah, it's different. You see a lot of poverty, you see a lot of need. But I'll tell you one thing that I learned this time around, and that is that they are not lonely. If someone is lonely there, wow, that's hard to be, because so many of them just have all these people living in their house, or like, kids. There's so many kids there that they're just always playing with each other. And it's like, wow, it would be really hard to be lonely here because they're just so well connected with each other.
Yeah. Well, there's a difference between being around a lot of people and being lonely or feeling heard or seen, or, you know what I mean? I wonder how, like, I don't know what we could ever measure, but their depression rates or something. I remember my daughter in high school was at this huge high school and just around thousands of kids, but feeling all alone,
Yeah.
feeling very lonely. But I wonder
that's very common in our society here.
Yeah. If the way they live and the way they have to take care of each other and be there for each other makes it different. Or if there's a higher or lower percentage of depression there,
Well, I know that there is depression there. Mm-hmm. I mean, they have a lot of stress because they're still in the survival mode for the most part. And that's stressful. How am I going to eat? How am I going to the basics of life. Now, some people there are in a position where they don't have to just think about survival, right? They're able to, their needs are met and they can do other things. Like I saw billboards in Nairobi for the hyperbaric chamber and, massages. And I think, wow, there's obviously a few people here that have disposable income.
But the majority of them.
The majority are, and the pandemic hit them hard. I was told that, by people that I was spending time with there, that jobs are scarce and it's causing a ton of stress for them. And that there have been suicides because of it, because people are stressed about how to pay the bills. And the pandemic hit them very hard that way.
Yeah.
They're like here in America, you see help wanted everywhere, now hiring everywhere. And you go to a restaurant where they don't have enough servers, or, there's too many jobs and not enough people taking the jobs here. It's over there. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
So I hope that they can get back to where there's enough jobs for the amount of people that need them.
Makes you grateful.
Yeah, they struggle. When I did that counseling, therapy last time, I wanted to this time, but we just didn't have the same amount of time, because what happened is that I was told school started on the 23rd, and then we got there and I was leaving the 25th. School didn't start until after I left. So I wanted to do the therapy, but they weren't there the whole time. Anyway, it's kind of a bummer. But man, I'll tell you, they had stressful things, last time, like my dad died, or my dad left us, or this thing, we can't eat. We eat one meal a day. So they do have stress.
Yeah.
But one thing I can tell you about Africa, I don't know about all of Africa, but Kenya, is that they are extremely focused on God. There's a lot, okay, lots of billboards. You see praise God or, all this stuff about God everywhere. And then they talk about God, and it's just a normal part of their existence. Whereas here, we only do it in certain settings. There it's public. And so my friend Caroline, she runs a school there that she started, and she can talk about God, and they can pray, and they can do whatever the heck they want in school. Mm-hmm. They can talk about religion. Here in America, you cannot do that.
Yeah.
But there, they have free access to incorporate praying and God as much as they want. And they do. So Caroline has a lot of like prayer and, spirituality and God, lots of things about God in her school.
Cool. So does it, do they have like a major religion or a specific religion, or is it just more a Christian
it's either,
God in general?
Yep. It's either Christianity or Muslim.
Oh, okay.
That's it. I mean, I'm sure that there's a, tiny bit of other things, but the two major things are Muslim and Christian.
Interesting. Very interesting.
And yeah, they just don't have the same, like here in America where people have said, yeah, but if you incorporate religion, then what about those that are of a different faith? They just don't care. Yeah. They can do whatever they want. If Muslims are offended, too bad. or if Christians are offended, too bad. Yeah. The other thing is that they don't have allergies there.
Really?
Allergies are a white rich person thing. Because when you're raised around things where your immune system just has to get used to it all the time, they don't treat their water,
Yeah.
Like if you were to try to explain to kids in Africa what it's like for kids in America to be allergic to peanuts, they wouldn't even understand what you're talking about.
Wouldn't even get it. Yeah.
No, they wouldn't even be able to comprehend what you're trying to say. Like, huh? You eat something and what? Like, or, they just don't have, now they have other health issues, certainly, but allergies are not part of their
not the one
problems. They just don't have allergies.
I was going to go back to just the religion or bringing God in, or I think that we get so specific in all of our little different religious views, and we view it this way and we view it this. I mean, even in Christianity, you could find people arguing all day long, right, about all these specific things. But if you take a step back and look at what we all have in common more than what we don't, you know what I mean? And whatever you want to call God, whatever names you want to use, specific things you want to say, I think, and I don't know if you know where I'm like trying to get here, but if we can step back and look at what we have in common with other people rather than the differences, then it's a whole lot easier to talk about God. And even if somebody says a different word for God, you can see how you're similar. You're still, you still have these similar beliefs and you have things in common about it. And we don't have to get so nitpicky about ours is right on this, and we believe exactly this, and you're wrong and we're right, or, things like that. So it makes sense to me to be able to just talk freely and not get so offended. When other
I agree, but I think it does go back in history with us. America has a different past.
Yeah.
A much different past where people are pretty strong. I mean, it's part of what made the founding fathers, or, people in the past who that they were willing to leave their country and come here, and, they had a lot of grit. And I just think that kind of has something to do with how we are that way now.
Yeah. Well, we're being forced to, like we can only be a certain religion. You have to be this one religion. And so the religious freedom and all, I mean, I'm totally for that. I get it. I'm not against religious freedom.
No, I'm not either in the slightest. I just think I do think that part of our history has to do with the differences in why in America people have had to say, yeah, but if you pray in school, then what about the kids that are this, you know what I mean? Like, I think that there's just a different mindset.
Yeah.
And it has a lot to do with our past, and their past is a lot different, and that's okay. There's nothing right or wrong, I don't think, to either way. It's just so different. And but yeah, they're great people. They're super sweet. Just so the word for white person is Mzungu in Swahili, and so everywhere I'd go, hey, Mzungu. But they're very sweet people, and the kids at the school, they're just sweet. They'll give you a hug, and and that's nice too.
Yeah.
You can hug the kids all you want there without worrying about getting sued.
Right. Oh, yeah, I do anyway. In the schools, they all want to come up and hug me. So I guess
I'm glad.
But...
Me too. I'm just like, but anyway, very sweet people, very, very willing to help. I love the people there. But, it's not perfect. They have people that do things that are hard, like crime. And, they're literally at the grocery store. There are guards with, 3-foot long guns at the grocery store.
Wow.
And at banks, outside of every bank, you'll see an armed guard just standing there with a 3-foot gun.
Wow. Yeah.
So, they're not without their problems too, but I'll tell you, they are just the sweetest, nicest. You just can't help but love them.
So cool. What comes to you is some, like, you see people in these stressful situations, maybe just some advice or some things that could help someone that's depressed or stressed or whatever?
Well, yeah. So I have a few things. I have a free tool that I have a sticker on my car. It's just a QR code, a happiness and peace checklist. And it's a culmination of what I've learned over the years. Doing what I do helps people. And so I put together a whole list, and it's just free to anyone that wants it.
Awesome.
But then, when people come into me for sessions, I give them, in addition to the hypnosis, I give them handouts and different things. So in their first session, I always give them the stress eliminator. And the stress eliminator is a number of things that you just like go through that helps you to diffuse and let go of the stress and to see it differently. Awesome. So yeah, I have a number of things. So I'm going to try to start posting more of these things to help people, because I truly do want to help people. And I do, but I want to help people on a larger scale, if that makes sense. Like the masses, right? I want to help millions instead of just those that come into my office. So I'm trying to get out there more, and I do hypnosis shows, and those are a lot of fun. And I feel like those benefit people because the shows make you laugh, but I also infuse a little bit of, good stuff in there to help the people that volunteer to come up on the stage to leave feeling like so good that they're going to take their life to the next level. Like I put things in my show about that so that they go on and, now they're taking their life to the next level. So
that's really neat, because the laughter alone and the fun that you feel in that environment is valuable, is very valuable. And then infusing even more for those people, that's so cool. I love that. And making it just a neat experience for everyone.
Thanks. So I do have a number of tools, and I'm going to try to start the Year of Happiness on my social media. Now, the Year of Happiness is all kinds of things. Little tips, little techniques, little helpful advice, this thing, that thing. And I also have happiness and peace experiences that I'm going to start this year, where it's once a month. It's like a 2-hour in person or online, where we just go over a number of things. So it's a 2 hours, just really help you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that in a group setting or a?
Yep. That's a group thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I think, 1 second. Okay. I felt the same way. Like I know, the plant medicine experience was so profound for me. And I thought about guiding that one-on-one. And I probably would have done that because it was so profound had it not been, depending on where you're at and you know how much you trust the Religious Freedom Act to defend you, illegal, right? And so I was like, you know, but I also was like, I think that's good because I wanted to get it out to more people. Just me talking about it and telling people had changed lives. And so I that's why I really felt like doing this podcast and doing group integration or group things, experiences or retreats or whatever those different things are, that it could reach more people, that it could help more people. And of course, the one-on-one sessions are still super powerful and incredible, but I love where you're going with that. It feels the same.
Thank you.
So, now that
the advantage of the one-on-ones is that I can make it specific to what you're, you know what I mean? Like I've shared a few stories of what comes up in sessions with people, and that's the advantage of one-on-ones.
Yeah.
Is that then I can make it specifically about your issues, but group things are super helpful too. So sorry, anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And I found that in my life that having deep, especially when I have some specific thing that is coming up and I can't break through, just deep one-on-one sessions with amazing facilitators of different modalities has been very profound. And having a group where I can get some basic information, I can make some changes on my own, I can hear some other people, you know, and I can kind of do some maintenance and some basics. And then also having these big, huge experiences, a retreat or a live event or something like that. Just kind of, if I go too long without something, then, you know, you can fall back into just different depression or anxiety or something. And I think there's a combination of all those things and figuring out like what I need now. You know, do I just need to kind of go to a maintenance group or do I need a beginner? What is hypnotherapy? And then I realized, oh, I love her and she could totally help me now that I'm having this huge problem. I'm going to do a one-on-one session because I understand the group and I know who she is and I've heard her on this podcast and, you know, whatever. So I love it. I love that. There's so much benefit there for people to be able to understand and see.
Absolutely. Now, one thing that I've learned in the last year or two, I think I got some inspiration from, you know, the universe or whatever you want, where women need women. And about a year ago, I was kind of going through a hard time and I just got this inspiration that women need women. Well, I didn't really follow through and do anything with that, but yet I kept getting client after client last year of women that need more women in their lives, you know, like husbands and kids are great, but they cannot fill that bucket in your life. It's impossible. Women need women. You know, as women, we can give each other things and support and love and understanding that you just cannot get anywhere else. So I'm going to try to be better about that this year. One of the things I want to do at the end of the year is a retreat, a weekend retreat for women, where it's just a weekend of just such empowerment and like connection with other women and friendship and love and support. And I'll have, you know, I will do a ton of hypnosis. We'll do maybe even a fun show where we get laughing, and I'll probably bring in a couple of other women that do different modalities that can, so it'll just be like an immersive weekend of just getting away from it all. And it'll be all for women.
Awesome. I'm in.
So
that sounds so fun.
Know, right?
I'm like, okay, I'm coming to yours. Let's plan one together. Let's do this. Because it's so true. Like I'll think, oh, I go to a retreat and how profound and how my energy and frequency is just raised. And I'm just full and ready to come back and give to my family and just be that light. I have so much more to give. And then, you know, I think, oh, I'm good. I'm never going to need one of those again. But it's not true, you know? I need like a couple a year at least.
I agree. And I will get better. This year, I'm just going to plan the one, but I am going to be doing those 2-hour happiness and peace things. So that'll help. That'll be little things along the way, and then the retreat. But anyway, I'll get better next year. I'll have a lot more for women.
Oh, you're
so
perfect.
So I have a question. So have you used the psychedelic mushrooms?
Yeah. So
okay, so tell me about that, because I'm curious. I've kind of considered it myself.
This is so fun. So really quick, what led to that was my daughter was sexually abused, and medication wasn't working, therapy wasn't working. And we started looking into the research that had been done and found it was very promising. And there are certain things, certain contraindications, certain mental problems if you're prone to schizophrenia or, you know, something like that that you want to be aware of, and different medications. So you want to do the research on it, right? And make sure you're not some of those specific things. And it looks really good. But so my specific experience with it, and I tell about my daughters on a few podcasts, and I'll get it on my podcast here eventually. But my specific experience, I had been really burned out and just been parenting for 20 years and still had a kid in diapers and 5 kids. And I was just like, I'm done. Like, I'm so sick of parenting. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something for me and not 6 other people. And, you know, just the daily work and kids and life and stressors were just, midlife
I get it.
Depression. I don't know what you want to call it, but I was there. I was not enjoying life. And it really, I actually was during it, I didn't really intend this. My intention was to hopefully lift some of that midlife crisis and this kind of, I mean, who wants to be parented by a mom who's done parenting, you know, and like, that's not going to be fun for my kids. It wasn't being fun for my kids. And so that was kind of my intention going into it. And I experienced each one of my children's souls and my husband's soul. And I like felt their unique essence. And it was so beautiful. They were so unique and so incredible. And it was just like, my heart was just opened. And I just was like, this is an incredible gift. And this life is an incredible gift. And what am I doing wasting it, wanting to be somewhere else when I could just enjoy exactly right here where I am? And I'm not going to give my kids away anyway, so I may as well enjoy it. But it was so, like, I knew that logically, right? Like, logically, I'm not giving my kids away. I may as well at least enjoy this, but I couldn't get there mentally. I couldn't like change. And this,
and you're describing most of my clients.
Like so deep to my core, it got down underneath all of the consciousness and the ego and all this other stuff. It got down so deep, and I felt it so strongly. The only way I can describe it is like a near-death experience where I kind of saw things from the other side, from a higher consciousness, or however you want to describe it, like a God perspective. And I felt them, and I understood why there's pains and why there's joy, and why, you know, like I understood the whole thing. And I was just, I mean, a whole year I was probably weird, but for, 2 months I was just like, everything, like a kid came to me with a rock or a bug, and it was like, oh, that's the most miraculous thing I've ever seen. Not just like, yeah, that's cool, I got to get dinner on, you know, like, oh yeah. But I was just there, and I was there with my teenagers.
Oh, that's awesome.
Open, and I was riding my bike like it was the first time I've ever, or I just got beamed back from another planet, you know, I got to experience this again, and just hugging random people on the street. I mean, it was, I wanted to hug a lot of random people, but I probably hugged a few more than were like ready to be hugged. But once they felt the power of, they were like, oh, I needed that anyway. So it was really life-changing. And between my daughter's experience and mine and just talking with people, I realized that spreading that word and getting the word out so people could do the research so that they could get informed. And then when it comes to voting on this, we already have Oregon setting some precedents, and Colorado and California. And when it comes to voting on this, people can be informed, and it's not just like some scary thing lumped in with all these other things that are totally different than it. These other drugs that are totally different. And they are powerful, and they're not for everyone, and they're not for, everyone for many reasons. But I just feel like people should know. They should be able to know what it is and research for themselves, rather than just kind of like scary, bad, don't look there kind of thing.
Right.
So
run away.
I think it's coming, and just hearing from normal people that have had experiences and that have looked into it kind of opens people up. Because I was just like, nope, not looking. Nope, that's bad. You know what I mean? And a lot of people are still in the like, that's bad, that's scary. And just being able to open up and take a look and decide for yourself kind of thing. So
anyway. Absolutely. Well, and one thing, when people are on antidepressants and they come to me, I try to encourage them to heal their body. And I'll let them know that neurotransmitters, in addition to what we're doing, start looking into that, because neurotransmitters are formed from your guts. And if you've had a lot of antibiotics, or, if you're not getting enough vitamin D, or your thyroid's off, or your hormones, or, there's so many things that can contribute to that, but that still doesn't help people love themselves or be confident. You know what I mean? So I feel like I still love that hypnotherapy helps with those things.
Yeah.
That antidepressants just cannot. And so, I encourage, especially certain clients, I'll say, wow, you really need to like take some vitamin D or something that's going to help you. And then this will help you let go of all that negativity, and we embrace it. I like to fill my clients with positivity. Just every session, just filling them. Yeah, not just resolving,
not just clearing out
replacing. Replacing. Yeah, where we supplant a lot of positivity. And I love to help my clients love themselves, because a lot of people out there don't realize just how important it is to love yourself. They just don't. Like, they think it's okay to criticize themselves day in and day out. They don't realize that when you love yourself, everything in life is better. So, yeah.
So true. Like, you can't love other people either when you...
Yeah, it's harder. It's a lot harder.
You're judging and being critical of yourself. And then how are you supposed to love some of those same things in other people, or love them unconditionally?
Or, like, I love it when parents, I'll say, do you want your kids to love themselves? Well, yeah, of course. Well, then guess what? You have to love yourself too, because parents or kids are smart. Kids can pick up on that.
Oh, yeah.
If you want your kids to love themselves, or if I have Christian clients, I'll say to them, okay, well, did Jesus love himself? And they'll think about it for a minute. Well, yeah, I guess so. I'm like, can you imagine that he didn't? No. Like, well, then what does that tell you?
Yeah.
And they'll say that I need to, or that it's the right thing. Yeah, there you go. Bingo.
Right. Sometimes we think this martyrdom or criticizing ourselves is more humble, but it's not.
It's a warped societal thing. People that are arrogant or conceited or trying to brag, those are the insecure people. And that's not what self-love is. Okay, when you love yourself, you just are at peace with who you are, and you just feel good about yourself. It's not, you don't need to brag. You don't need to be conceited, because you love yourself. You're okay.
So true. It's so good. Oh, awesome. Okay. Well, I've got an appointment in a few minutes, but thank you for this surprise.
Oh, you're so welcome.
podcast episode that you did with me.
Yeah, I appreciate your invitation. This is great. And
yeah, this has been such a fun conversation. And
thanks so much for subscribing and leaving a review. Come join our amazing free community, Life Changing Trips. There's a link in the description. Please read our full disclaimer or listen to it, but for now, just note that all content is for informational, entertainment, educational, and harm reduction purposes only. Life Changing Trips and Harmony Williams and their affiliates and guests are not doctors or mental health professionals or legal advisors. Any information shared is not meant to treat, diagnose, or claim cures for any physical conditions or mental illness. Psychedelics and sacred plant medicines are not for everyone, even when done legally. There are serious contraindications with various health conditions and pharmaceutical medications. Please do your own research and take action to be informed. Remember that you are 100% responsible for your actions and subsequent consequences. The views of the guests are not the views and opinions of Life Changing Trips.